Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Wednesday, the 10th of July. Starting off with the FTSE, which has managed to bounce off the floor of that rising trend channel again, the January uptrend line there around 81.40. The resistance at the moment at the 50-day line, 82.50, and we're in a range between that. The RSI at 48, so slight negative bias, which is obviously why we keep failing at that 50-day line. But with the channel still in place, then still looking for an eventual resolution to the upside, 8300, and then June's 8371. On the downside, 8000, hopefully the worst we would see if there was any rug pull. Moving along to the DAX, and here the market also trying to hold on to that rising trend channel. You could just sort of decide exactly where it is, but it's around that 18,200 level. Resistance up there from the back in May, resistance line 18,900, and really want to see that broken. 50-day line rising, RSI on 50, so I suppose the glass is half full at the moment, and looking for eventually later in the summer up to the top of that channel towards 19,900, but that seems a long way away at the moment. But the market, I suppose, consolidating well as things stand. Onto the Dow, and here the picture is one of consolidation above the 50-day line, above that floor of that rising trend channel as well, and the level there around 39,100, above that looking for a breakout towards 40,000, the record levels. Best case by the end of the summer, 42,000, but the way things are going over the last 2 or 3 weeks, it seems like it's a long way away. RSI at 56, which is a good place for further upside, and looking for this market to stay above the floor of that channel. Otherwise, the downside risk at the moment, 38,000 and May-June support. Moving on to Bitcoin, which has not been in a good place of late, and here trying to edge back above that 200-day line, 58,700. So far, not quite getting there, but we do have the bullish divergence there, so the lower low for July, but higher RSI trade, so that does suggest that we've got a decent chance of at least heading back up to the 50-day line, just under 65,000, and hopefully we've seen the worst of the test for support at that March support line projection, but probably not out of the woods until we either get RSI 50 plus versus 41 at the moment, and a proper end of day close above that 200-day line, and at least it is still rising. Moving on to gold, which was disappointing in terms of falling back from the 2400 level. We bounced off the 50-day line, which is rising, which is normally a good leading indicator on the upside. So looking for this market to manage to get to 2450 perhaps by the end of this month. We got the top of the channel there as high as 2600, but that would be for later in the summer, I think, at the current rate of progress. Only back below the 50-day line means that we have to retest that 2300 area again. Moving on to the stocks, and we see Avacta still inching up. We were looking for, we're looking for various targets, 53, 63, 67, and then finally 88, which is near where the 200-day line is. Looking for that now by the end of this month, given that things seem to be speeding up a bit, and that is probably the minimum we're looking for at the moment, while we remain above the initial resistance, 73 pence, that we had just a couple of days ago, on Friday, in fact. Moving on to Blackbird, which continues its recent recovery with a V-shaped bull flag breakout, as I call it, finding support above a rising 50-day line. So it looks as though the second target here, the first target was about 6.3 pence. The second target there at 8.25 should be hit by the end of this month, and that would be quite a turnaround for the shares after plumbing new lows during last month. Only back below that 50-day line at 5p, really questioning the ongoing recovery there. On to Capital Metals, where we've had various tests of the 1.55 pence area, the old gap floor there, 1.5, and in theory that should mean that the shares are too strong to fill a gap, and they should be heading up. Got a bit of that, but really looking for 2.5 pence, the old October-June support, or former June support, while we're above the 1.5 pence area or 1.5 pence level on an end-of-day close basis. On to Cleantech, which is trying to rehabilitate itself. Just the suspicions, we've got a rising trend channel base. We bounced off that several times in recent days, around 14 pence. Initial target here, the 50-day line there, just under 19 and 3/4 pence. Don't want to see, obviously, any price action below that January uptrend line at 14 pence. On to Deltic, which was covered, I believe, yesterday and managed to hit the target we were looking for, the 50-day line, within 24 hours, which was on the basis, or the call was on the basis of that U-shaped turnaround, and there could be much more to that. We need an end-of-day close above the gap there at 12 pence. We can get that, then it's up to the fresh target there, 15 and 3/4 pence, a May resistance line projection and the top of the post-May triangle. So that's really what we're looking for at the moment, end-of-day close above the 12 pence level. On to Graft Polymer, which did a Duke of York type of rally, or had one, marched up to the 1.35 pence level and then marched down again, and here at the lows, but looking a bit encouraging, actually. I suppose you could argue that we've got bullish divergence there, so the lower lows there for July, but higher RSI trace, so that's one possible positive. But we really need to see an end-of-day close above recent neckline resistance around 0.17 to give us a target up to 0.35. So maybe just worth keeping an eye on that, even though it seems to be a bit early days to look at it on a bullish basis. On to Invinity, which is edged up, breaking that falling wedge from basically this time last year. 50-day line there at 21.75. We're looking for 30 pence by the end of this month, really, backed by bullish divergence from April, an uptrend line in the RSI window, and the latest trend line breakout for the shares. On to Guild, and here you can see that the shares have managed to bounce off a rising trend channel base. We've got a rising 50-day line as well, which tends to be a leading indicator on the upside. The RSI is also above 50, so looking for 0.5 pence by the end of this month, while we remain above the 0.3 pence support of recent days. Ironveld is next, and haven't looked at this for quite a long time, but looks as though we're in a broadening triangle base, and strong break of that W-shaped, well, the center of that W-shaped formation at around 0.05. Above that, looking for 0.09 by the end of this month. But a nice formation there on that turnaround. Ideally, we stay above that initial June peak at 0.05. On to Mosman, where it's a victory lap in the sense that we've hit our target there. So I think sometimes I was saying it's 0.69, sometimes I was saying it's 0.07, but we've hit both, obviously, and overshot the potential target there. The current situation is that probably will settle down here for a while, but the upper parallel of the rising trend channel that we had there from back in May, heading for the 0.085 area, and we're looking for that perhaps by the end of next month, if we can stay above the latest support for the shares, 0.06, so above that, looking for 0.085. I know some people are looking for much more there. On to Northcoders, and here, decent picture with the shares hitting our first target there around £2.26. We had an unfilled gap to the upside last month, and that's worked its magic above the initial target there, so around the 2.28 level, looking for as high as £3.75 by the end of next month. Obviously, it's a punchy call, but there is still decent time left. Petro is next, and here the bear trap situation seems to be continuing reasonably well. We're still looking for the shares to fill the gap up to 3.5 pence, 3.6 pence, and ideally they do that by the end of this month. That might be a bit ambitious, but the longer they stay above the old May support there at 2.8 pence, the greater the chance of a move to 3.5 pence. Returning to Predator after a long time, and here it looks as though after consolidating in a range between around 8 and 11 pence, there may be a breakout. The 50 and 200-day line starting to rise as well. That suggests that we're going into a golden cross. That's typically the strongest part of the cycle. So fundraisers permitting or not permitting, then we're looking at 15 pence by the end of this month, while we remain above the 200-day moving average at 10 pence. Simec is next, and here a nice push here with a V-shaped bull flag. Looks like a mid-move consolidation. We've had a golden cross last week as well to add to the excitement, and we had basically two gaps in the recent past, and to the upside. View now is that we can head up to 3.2 pence while we're above the recent support, the latest support at 1.9 pence, which was the old target area for the shares. 3.2 pence hopefully well before the end of the month. On to the last two. First one is Tirupati, where I suppose it's all about financing news, but the shares seem to have stabilised, bouncing off a rising 50-day line. So initial target here around 8.3 pence, and then the next one, maybe by the end of next month, if everything goes well, up to 11.7 pence, which is that February resistance line projection. Finishing off with Union Jack, which came up with a good update today, enough for the shares to gap higher. And it looks as though we're in that falling trend channel there from August, the floor of the channel there at 15 pence or 15.4 pence. Above that, looking for an initial target here up to 21 pence, maybe by the end of next month. But ideally, we get the sort of fast rally that we had back in April, and that obviously took the shares towards the 30 pence level. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.